Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Thursday night, August the 22nd. We're happy to have you in for another episode of the Primetime program. We got a dress rehearsal on Sunday, and that means that we only have one more preseason game left before we can officially get the NFL regular season underway. We are watching the first of the preseason finales between the Bengals and the Colts right now on Thursday Night Football, and we're going to get you ready for the Titans at the Saints. I'm going to travel down to New Orleans on Saturday and cover the game for you on Sunday and ship back here on Sunday night to make sure that we can be back on time for Monday morning's radio show. So we've got a lot of moving parts and a lot of good stuff to get to. The final day of training camp practice was today at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, and it was not a good day of practice on the offensive side of the ball. So in the absence of that and a dress rehearsal, 3-ish series type situation for the starters on Sunday, I'm going to tell you what I need to know or what I want to see from the first preseason game where the Titans starters did play to Sunday, since they did not play in preseason game number 2, a win over the Seattle Seahawks. Can Brian Callahan go 3-0, an undefeated start to his exhibition career and his NFL career? We will see. Will it mean anything if he does? Who's to say? But there's going to be some interesting stuff to talk about and to dive into, and I'm looking forward to doing so here with you guys tonight. Before we get started, need you all to share the broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, wherever you are spending your time with us. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet the show in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. Look at all those Facebook things I'm sharing too. Share the show and invite your Titans fan friends to come hang out with us and preview this final preseason game in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, do us a courtesy and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell a friend to do the same, because we appreciate you guys, as always, for popping in here tonight, but it makes us even happier when you bring new faces and new names in to interact with the show. So let's go ahead and get this thing started and talk a little preseason football. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studio. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the fine folks at Zen Sports. Download the app, plug in the promo code ATOZTN. Get up to $100 on your no-danger first wager. ZenSports.com is how you get in on all the action. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more information. And TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Friday is tomorrow. That means that's my TrueMath Fitness day. You can go 7 days a week to TrueMath Fitness. You can sign up for any number of their classes, and your first one is free as a Middle Tennessee resident at TrueMathFitness.com. Preseason finale. I am excited. I am also curious because today was not a good day of practice for the Tennessee Titans on the field. It was not terribly crisp. There were slow starts for all three offensive units, and in particular, it took Will Levis a while to get up and running. He had a nice pass, a fade ball to Calvin Ridley, but beyond that, it was pretty slow going for the first team offense in particular today. Tyler Boyd coming back has helped things, and that is the kind of stuff that you are looking for. The return of a starting veteran player that can ease the burden of this offense on the quarterback and make life easier. That's the thing that you're trying to find out how to do, how to make life easier on the quarterback. Brian Callahan talked about it with us yesterday. We are constantly coaching the idea of how can you get us into the best possible play. Will Levis has the ability to check an audible in this offensive system, and so they're working through that with him. And I've said this a couple of times this week, but it's supposed to look kind of clunky in training camp, and it will probably look kind of clunky into the regular season, but we will see how they hit their stride. Now, Jimmy Wyatt tracks Levis's completions on a day-to-day basis and noted that Levis did not have his best day was 1 of 4 in the first 7-on-7, threw 2 passes that could have been picked off. Another pass slipped out of his right hand and rolled to the sideline. On the first play of the team 2-minute period, Levis sailed one over the head of Calvin Ridley on what appeared to be a miscommunication between the two. I'm reading directly from Jimmy Wyatt's observations at TennesseeTitans.com. Levis finished that series 4 of 8, and the Titans offense ended it with a field goal by Nick Folk. Titans went 3 and out on another team period. Levis had to throw a few balls into the dirt because of defensive pressure. The highlight of the day was that fade ball that I talked about, the Calvin Ridley touchdown. Levis completed 4 straight passes late before a drive fizzled out and ended with a 4th down incompletion. 14 of 26 for the day for Will Levis. And what I talked about in the final week of training camp was I wanted to see them string 2 good offensive practices together, 2 consistent offensive days of work to make me feel, that there was meaningful growth. Now, there can be meaningful growth and there can be teachable moments, and these things can be correctable in the classroom and not just on the practice field. But I do think that there is something to the idea that they haven't strung together at least 2 open practices. They've had practices where we're not out there, but those are few and far between. There have been far more practices that media has been out there to watch than have been closed off. So defensive pressure is a thing. Offensive line is going to be a work in progress. And Will Levis himself continues to be, I won't say the ultimate work in progress, but he still has a lot of growth that he has to accomplish, that cannot happen really until he gets into the regular season with this thing. And they start to implement more actual scheme as opposed to the vanilla passing and run game concepts that they'll execute in the preseason. And they're not doing a bunch of stuff in front of us, obviously. They're not going to show us what the offense is going to look like in training camp practices. So there are some growing pains for this Titans team. And the question that I want to start with is this. On Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch in the comment section, from the starters, from preseason game number 1 to preseason game number 3, what do you most want to see the offense accomplish? Whether it's Will Levis and completion percentage, whether it's the deep connection between him and Ridley, whether it's J.C. Latham and pass pro, how they execute the run game. Treylon Burks is an option, of course, in this conversation. You could even be talking about tight ends if you wanted to. What do you most want to see or learn from preseason game number 3 on the offensive side of the football? We will do the defense second. It's your 2 Rivers Ford take. As always, it's presented by 2 Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. 2 Rivers has been operating in Mount Juliet, Tennessee for over 40 years. They are the most reliable, award-winning customer service and one of the top Ford dealers in the nation. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and that award-winning customer service no matter when you need them. If you need mobile service, 2 Rivers Ford has that for you. If you need a vehicle for a test drive and you can't make it out to the dealership, they'll bring the vehicle to you. If you can't get out to the dealership to buy your vehicle, you can order your vehicle online and they'll deliver it to your door. 2 Rivers Ford goes above and beyond to make sure that the customer is satisfied. Go to 2 Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at 2riversford.com for more information. So, offensive side of the football, what do you most want to see? Titan Kong says, for F's sake, people, we're drafting Shedeur Sanders already. Yes, that is something that Field Yates mocked them. You could say that he was mocking you or mocking them, but mocking the Titans, a quarterback with the 4th overall pick, Shedeur Sanders, and Field Yates is somebody whose football opinions I very much respect. Now, did those mock drafts mean anything? Oh, did Richardson just throw a pick 6? Wow, that was ugly. Terrible interception there by the Colts quarterback. Yes?
Oh, I'm on camera. I wanted to make a note of this. We talked about this on the morning show, but so I don't think Field Yates, who does a fantastic job with his fantasy football coverage, with his draft coverage, love Field Yates. I don't think he's disparaging the Titans. Whenever they're making those off-season mock drafts, they're going off Vegas win totals. So the Titans are tied with 4 other teams at 6.5. So they oscillate in position. That's why sometimes you'll look and the Titans will be the 4th pick or the 5th pick. Field Yates isn't shitting on the Titans. You know what I mean? They're just going off Vegas win totals. So I saw a lot of people being like, how come every time they do one of these damn mock drafts, we're picking in the top 5? Well, that's just where you are in the over-under on win totals.
Okay, well, explain why he picked a quarterback.
If you're picking in the top 5, you are taking a quarterback. There's a reason.
Probably right about that. You're probably right about that. So, good context there from Bert. And something that I think is important to keep in mind, because anytime they do those preseason way too early 2025 mock drafts, or the next season, the next off season before a current regular season even begins, they are doing it off the Vegas win totals. Now, the Titans have the 4th worst Vegas odds to win the Super Bowl this year. That shouldn't surprise you. At this point, they have to go out there and earn, like Brian Callahan said, earn some expectations, earn the right to even have expectations. And right now, this team, nobody should have expectations of them. I think we here locally, or if you're a Titans fan and you've seen all the work that they've done to try and put this roster in a significantly better position to succeed, I think you do have expectations of them. But league-wide, people aren't looking at the Titans as doing much, and so it's incumbent upon the Titans to go out there and prove them wrong. So what do you most want to see from the offense? I'm going to tell you what I want to see, or rather I'm going to have Tyler Boyd tell you what I want to see, because he was on the radio show today. Here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Friday is Arm Farm Friday at TrueMath Fitness. It's my favorite workout of the week at TrueMav, and it is one that I am so happy that I'm going to be able to go to tomorrow. You can go to personal training classes at TrueMav. You can go to group fitness classes at TrueMav. You can get a membership and workout in their open gym as you please, whenever you like. TrueMav Fitness is the place for you to accomplish your fitness goals, whether you are trying to maintain, whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're just trying to improve your physical fitness, perhaps cardio, perhaps strength training. TrueMath Fitness has any number of ways that they can put you in position to succeed. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free. All right, so what I want to see most from the offense, I want to see Will Levis, and bear with me here, I want to see Will Levis be boring in the Titans offense. And I will explain a little more what I mean by that here in just a second. But in fact, Bert, I don't see the Tyler Boyd video unless I'm okay. He's working.
It's not there. It'll be there in some.
Look at this. He can't get off. He can't get off the camera. He's an attention whore tonight, especially with that awful. He gets one can of dirt.
Open up a can of bird ass on you. Look at that dirt, boy. Look at that dirt. Everybody wants a piece of that. Come on, man.
You want to explain to people the dirt?
Do you want your Tyler Boyd video?
Explain the dirt, then get the Tyler Boyd video.
Is that metallic? Was that heavy metals I sense?
Yeah. Is that what's asbestos?
That's it. It's funny that you also said that. Lucas said that today, and Kirby snapped very quickly. That's inside buildings. That wouldn't be an issue. So it was a bit. That big ass mountain of dirt gets bigger and bigger every day. We drive past
big ass mountain of dirt? Where?
That is being excavated from the crater that will become the new Titan Stadium.
Yes.
You've all seen it. If you drive around Nashville, and if you hadn't, I suggest you make a trip, because it's worth it. Bring the kids, bring the family. You will never see a pile of dirt this big again. We made it a big bit. Burke was on the show, and I said, I know you may have Burke Nihill, Titans president and CEO, general philanthropist.
How are you this bad at this?
I'm tired. I'm burnt. I'm Bert. I never pretended to be good at this. This is something that was. I'm like Frodo from Lord of the Rings. Like, who the hell picked this cat to be the one to have to talk about anything? I don't know. I'm just the one with the one ring. You gonna let me go into Mordor?
You didn't explain the dirt.
Oh, I told Burke Nihill, president and Titan CEO, that rather he had a vested interest in remaining Burke's dirt. I thought that it should be Burt dirt, and he did a little product testing, and it failed. No one wanted the dirt besides me, so he brought me a jar of my own dirt. It's going to be just like my granny's ashes. It's going to sit right above my mantle and just never be moved. I would be more likely to take and spread this amongst the country's finest sites than I would old Graham because I can't stand apart with her.
Are you proud of what you've done here?
No, not at all.
You guys see what I have to work with. You think Lucas constantly trying to undermine me on the radio show is one thing and Jackson being incompetent is another, but that is what they leave me with at the end of my day. Burt and his dirt. All right. What I want to see from the Titans offense, I want to see Will Levis be boring. Now, what do I mean by I want to see Will Levis be boring? I'm not necessarily hell-bent on seeing this deep connection manifest itself in preseason game number 3, okay? I want to see Will Levis check it down. I want to see Will Levis take whatever it is the defense gives him. I want to see Will Levis have a completion percentage around 70. I want to see Will Levis check it down to the running backs. I want to see Will Levis utilize Tyler Boyd. I want it to be paper cutting you to death because that's the one thing that I don't know if he can do efficiently or not. I know he can throw it to any part of the field, right? We know that he has elite arm talent. It was one of the reasons that he could have been, he was not, but he could have been a first-round pick in the NFL draft as I watch Anthony Richardson struggle mightily tonight and apparently all through training camp so far. Will Levis has to find ways to be a more well-rounded quarterback, and that's what I mean by I want him to be boring. I want him to manage the offense, to play within the constructs of whatever, I know it's not highly schemed on Sunday, but play within the structure of the system. That would be the thing that would be most reassuring to me. Because anytime we've talked about Will Levis, we've talked about the idea of how intense he is, how spectacular big play ability he has. But it's not necessarily just about that. In fact, it's very rarely about that. His yards per completion last year was 12. That's all well and good, but he could have a hell of a lot higher completion percentage if he's not trying to average 12 yards per completion, right? He's not trying to force the hero ball play. And so I think everything that the Titans offense is providing him will make that easier, including Tyler Boyd, who we had on the radio show today.
Fans, there's the need for microwave results, right? And in reality, it's just going to be a growth process for you guys throughout the course of the season. Training camp's really just the start of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you have some good days, some bad days. Like you said, it's like Will, the only thing about him is, the good thing about him is he got that arm power. He can throw it anywhere he wants on the field. But he got guys on the field where he don't really got to rely on just trying to get a throw down to the receivers. Like you said, the timing is very pivotal. Is very precise. Like you said, it's precision. And the good thing with Will is if he don't got that first look to the boundary, he got enough arm strength to get to his third progression backside, if he need to make any throw, So I think that's the plus that we have as a receiver.
Don't you love that he accidentally called him Joe?
I did.
He got back to the locker room and he was like, "Wrong bitch! Yeah, you got the wrong one." I know you wanted to be back there in Cincinnati with Joe. You didn't want to be here with me. Where have you been all night?
I did notice that in real time, and I wanted to point out the Freudian slip, but he was a great interview, Tyler Boyd. We talked to him for like 20 minutes. Bert, were you over there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How you could miss me. I was wearing like a neon blue. I looked like a billboard for Aquamarine.
I try to just ignore you altogether, but here you are yet again in front of my face, Lauren Walsh, not Robert Walsh.
Oh yeah, how the hell does this keep happening? What's going on? Who is in charge of my head?
Oh, I'm so tired. God, I feel like Tyler Boyd. I'm exhausted. I'm dealing with Bert. I'm dealing with Lucas. I'm dealing with Jackson. I'm dealing with Joe. I'm dealing with Will. I'm dealing with all of them. Chosen on YouTube says, is Bert drunk tonight? Probably. God knows what he's doing back there. He's too busy trying to win an NCAA championship with Blue Mountain State or whatever the hell he's playing with in EA college football. Anyway, so Tyler Boyd there with a Freudian slip, calling Will Levis Joe Burrow, but talking about the idea of growth and progress within the season and how much more real life experience they're going to benefit from once they can hone their skills of the offense in live game reps. That is not what preseason is. Preseason is very, very stripped down. There is no game planning, right? You're running very basic concepts. And so with all of this, it is what you see on Sunday will be the Titans offense, right? But it won't really be the Titans offense. And for good or for bad, we'll find out what that looks like week 1 in Chicago, but that is not going to be what we learn on Sunday night. Sunday is about the operation. Sunday is about, can they manage pre-snap penalties? Can they, put together scoring drives? Can they keep the quarterback clean? I have down here on the offensive side of the ball, running backs in the passing game, how quickly Levis gets to them in their reads. And of course, watching J.C. Latham. I hope Dennis Allen plays the starters for New Orleans. I don't know if he will, but I'm curious to see what that looks like, at least against higher caliber talent. Devin Mills says, Wiley even made a catch this preseason? I don't think so, but he's been dealing with a concussion, so he's only played in one game. So I don't think that's – maybe Josh Wiley has a catch in the San Francisco game. Let me see if I can go back and look at the stats. Receiving, I don't have Wiley with a catch against the Niners. Odakoya, who else? Steven Stilianos, and those were the only receptions. Did Chig not have a catch? Chig didn't have a catch either. Oh, David Martin Robinson. He had 2 receptions on 3 targets for 30 yards, but no Wiley. So Wiley was in the concussion protocol last week, and I don't think he would have played anyway. So not that deep. And again, Levis has only thrown 5 passes this preseason, right? There's nothing. I mean, not everybody. They have all manner of wide receivers and running backs, and hell, the running back caught the vast majority of the passes on that first preseason game when Levis did play. So I would not get too bent out of shape about who has a catch in the preseason and who doesn't. All right, defensively, we'll pivot to the defense. Where do we want to see them step up from preseason game 1 to preseason game 3? We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by Zen Sports. Download the app, plug in the promo code ATOZTN, get up to $100 on your no danger first wager. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet at Zen Sports. They have you covered. Okay, so as you look at the defense did play a variety of starters. Harold Landry did not play. L'Jarius Sneed, Jeff Simmons, and Cheeto Awuzie did not play. Nor do I expect any of those players to play in this upcoming preseason game. Plus, Arden Key is dealing with some hamstring tightness, so I would also expect him not to play in the final preseason game unless it is so minute that they feel he can get out there in a couple of days after taking today off and having light work tomorrow and on Saturday when they travel. So defensively, it was a different looking group than it was in the first game for the offense. Sweat did play though. Murray did play. Gibbons, McCreary, Amani Hooker. We'll see Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams, I think, for a little bit in this. So it'll be a little different looking, whether they actually scheme it or not. But the question for me is Sweat without Harold Landry and Jeff Simmons, because they're not going to play again in this preseason game, but Big Sweat will. And now Marlon Davidson's down. And now TK McClendon's down. So you're talking about like Keandre Coburn and Isaiah Iton and dudes like that further down the defensive line depth chart who are going to have to step up in this final preseason game. Sweat got pushed around in the first game against San Francisco. And I think that's good experience for him to kind of, get a sense for it, get a feel for it, understand everybody else is big and fast and strong as well, and that he has the ability to be bigger, faster, stronger, but it's not going to be as seamless as it may have been or as easy as it has been in practice when you're facing an uncommon opponent whose ways to work against you've been able to determine after seeing them time in and time out. So in the case of T'Vondre Sweat, I want to see him step up in a bigger way than we saw him step up in the first preseason game. And I asked Jeffrey Simmons about Sweat in preseason game number 1 and how he responded to not having Jeff and Harold out there.
When we got here, when he first got here, we had a meeting and it was like, well, we know where they're going to slide to. You better win your one. And he said, hell no, they're going to slide to me. And that's the type of confidence that you want from a guy. You know, before the game, he wasn't worried about, oh, you not out there with me. He wanted to go out there and prove to himself that he could be in this league. And I think that's the biggest thing with a young guy like that. Because, like I said, when I came in, it was the same thing. I'm not worried about the next man. And I think with him having that type of mindset right now, it's going to help him in the long run because, like I said, he's a guy who want to be great and is only going to keep going up from here because, like I said, I'm going to push him each and every day.
Just kind of going back.
Jeff Simmons speaking about T'Vondre Sweat. So I want to see Sweat have a far greater impact than he did in preseason game number 1. Defensively, we'll still see Jarvis Brownlee Jr. and Trey Avery. What the Saints offense has in store for them if they play their starters again. We don't know what New Orleans plan is going to be, but we know Tennessee is going to get some good work out of their first teamers or a good many of their first teamers who are available outside of injuries. All right, we're going to wrap up with a weekend bounce back. Who in sports needs to bounce back most? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. B. French says, Buck, will Jeff and Harold play in New Orleans? No, I've just said that several times, but that's okay if you weren't listening. We are going to get into who needs to bounce back most in sports. Perhaps it's B. French for not listening. We'll talk about it together on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. GaryAshton.com has you covered with the intel edge you need to succeed. So don't sell without the intel that only the Ashton team can provide. Go to GaryAshton.com for the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators. Who needs to bounce back? I need to bounce back because I have had a couple of different moments this week where I have been made more aware about how much I have taken. I'm not going to say that I've taken Titans fans for granted, but that I've underestimated you basically for the last 8 years that I've been here. And I've been reminded of that in a couple of different ways, specifically in the last 2 days. The first was the McNair documentary on Netflix, where I watched it and got context for a time that I was not here and not working in Nashville and not thinking about the Titans and not talking about them for 4 hours every day and doing all these other things where they were just an afterthought, where I had one friend who was a Titans fan. And I remember thinking at the time, why? Because the Titans in my lifetime, in my cognitive lifetime, have never been much of anything of consequence, right? Other than the last 6 years where I've been here and I've been covering them. But anything prior to that, like McNair and Eddie and Blaine Bishop and Brad Hopkins, like we talked about last night, guys who I work with every day, guys who I know, guys who I see, guys who I get the privilege of learning from, going back and watching that documentary and seeing what a craze it was around the time of the Titans and what success they had right out of the gate and how that started a mania here that is, still hanging on to an extent, but is looking for something to kind of reignite it, right? Took you guys for granted that way. And then I heard this speech from Jelly Roll, who went to visit the Titans yesterday after training camp practice. And I knew that he was going to be in town because I talked to a friend of mine who works in video production and who does a lot of work for the Titans and was in town yesterday specifically because they had Jelly Roll in to speak with the team. Jeff Venable is his name. And so I was talking to Jeff and hadn't seen Jelly in a while. No, he's been super busy. He's had an excellent last couple of years. And I knew that he was flying in for the day for like a couple of hours to speak to the team because he wanted to do it, and then flying back out for a concert that he had in another state somewhere else right after. So the Titans put out this video of Jelly Roll speaking to the team, and I wanted to share it with you guys because Jelly Roll, being somebody from Antioch who's born here, whose family grew up going to Adelphia Coliseum and is a diehard Titans fan, he again was another reminder of some of the context for the history of you guys that, maybe I could stand to appreciate a little more often.
Y'all up. Everything I hoped it would be. My name is Jason Jelly Roll DeFord. I grew up in Antioch, Tennessee. It's kind of right south of Nashville. I was born here my whole life. When the Titans came here in the late 90s, my father took me down to Memphis because that's where the first season was, and we watched the opening game. I think it was against the Oakland Raiders, and it was 140 degrees. It was miserable. I was still fat then, so it sucked really bad. And I'll never forget it because it was something for this city. At this time, this city was smaller than Columbus, Ohio. So as a point of perspective, this was a really small town. So for us to have something, so this was a really, really big deal for the locals. And it was such a big deal, it was kind of like CMA Fest. All my family that were bartenders, if y'all couldn't tell, I grew up with the opposite of something. I think a lot of y'all relate to that. You know what the opposite of something is, don't you? Right? But all of our family were bartenders. So as soon as the Titans came, boy, we knew that Sunday was a money day. And I want y'all to think about that too when y'all go on that field Sunday, that y'all's impact is bigger than just on the field. It's happening all around this city. That the vibrations of this are touching people everywhere. That your impact in the city is bigger than just the 65,000 people that come to watch y'all every single week. There are people that are counting on this organization to continue to thrive because it's feeding us. It's feeding this town. I've been coming here ever since my father brought me. We had PSLs in the upper 300 sections the first season it came here. I watched the Music City Miracle from the Juvenile right across the street out the cell window. Never forget, I was cheering and nobody knew why. I had the only cell that could see the Jumbotron. Me and my cellmate, Josh Carter. And we were talking about it then because I remember at the time, he said, "You think you'll ever go to a football game?" I said, "I think they just offered me 40 years. I don't think I'll ever get to see one." God knows I did, though, because later I got to walk in there with my daughter for the first time, just like my father walked in that same stadium with me. And I don't have a bunch of inspiring. I'm not a football guy. I don't know how to scream at y'all and make y'all fired up, but I can tell you that your purpose is so much bigger than on that field. That is just a vessel that God is using to build your platform, and that every little thing you're doing from the front row right here in Will and the OGs of this team all the way to the back and the new coaches is affecting this city. And a lot of people overlook this town because so many people come to this town to get famous that they forget that there's a lot of us that grew up in this town making sure that people could come to this town and get famous. A lot of this town was built off the backs of real hardworking people like myself. Now, luckily, I'm one of the people that turned around for them and it worked out. The short end of my story was I did everything I could to throw it away. I tried as hard as I could, my life completely off. In and out of prison, been shot, stabbed. I could tell you a story that'll make a toilet tissue crack. But I'd rather tell you a story about how I'm finna do a 56 arena tour starting on Friday. I know most of y'all don't know who I am, but I grew up here, and I'm a tried and true Titans fan. I'm one of the guys that I believe in this organization. I believe in what Callahan's doing. I believe in the changes happening around this office. I'm standing behind Rand. I believe in the faces of this company. And I'm also glad to see guys like Big Jeff Simmons and some of these OGs show the way too. And I'm gonna tell y'all something else about how much of a Titan fan I am. Every arena in every city, they give me a football jersey, and I never wear them. I never wear them. I'm not doing it. I'm a Titan guy, tried and true. And I love y'all, man. And I also want to encourage y'all to reach out to the city. That Juvenile that's right there next to y'all stadium, we run a program. D-Hop's been trying to come through forever. I would love to host a few of y'all to come and talk to the kids and spread a little love, man. It would mean a lot to the city personally. Those kids need it, man. The Tennessee Titans Stadium and the Juvenile have been connected the entire time the Titans Stadium's been here, and I want to be the first guy that actually brings them together with Coach Callahan's help, if that's possible. But I love y'all. I ain't gonna talk your off. I know y'all been out there in that sun all day. I love y'all. Thanks for listening, man. I'm coming to a game, and I hope one of y'all come to a show.
I mean, the man is inspirational, and I'm lucky to know him. And a friend of mine sent me this today. A friend of mine in the NFL actually sent me this today. She works at an agency, and she happened to see this on Instagram, and it really caught me off guard. And I'm going to try and read it for you as best I can. Forgot you can't hear me when I take myself out that way. Thank you, Bert. Growing up in Nashville, Tennessee, my entire family has been Tennessee Titans fans since they came to Tennessee. Even in my youthfulness, I remember us watching the news as they predicted what names the future football team might be called. I clearly remember my father, God rest his soul, driving us down to Memphis, Tennessee to watch the first ever Tennessee Titans game. My father made sure to buy us PSLs and season tickets. I remember walking into Nissan Stadium for the first game ever played. Back then it was called Adelphia Coliseum. Just like my father did for me, I remember taking my daughter to her first Tennessee Titans game. Every Sunday, her and I still watch the Titans, and if we aren't together, we text each other the whole game. The culture being created in that facility right now is special. You can feel it vibrating through every hallway. You could sense the love and fellowship among the players. The way Coach Callahan and Rand Carthon have grabbed this bull by the horns has been amazing to watch. I have watched every interview this offseason and every OTP interview and every press conference they practice. Every practice review, listen to every word by my Bubba Buck Rising has said, and yesterday I got to witness the magic firsthand. It's going to be a good year to be a Titans fan. Also amazed at how many players reached out to me after wanting to be a part of anything that can do to give back for the city of Nashville. I think I made some lifelong friends yesterday and look forward to the work we can do together in this city. This was a great part. So you all can tell by these pictures, I was happy as a pig in poop, which is a hilarious phrase. The only sad part of the day was not being able to call my father and tell him how cool it was. But I believe he is seeing this all happen for me and is smiling down from the heavens above. Thank you, Coach Callahan, Rand Carthon, Burke Nihill, Nate Bain, Jenny DeLoach, Amy Adams Strunk, and the entire Adams and Strunk family for letting this local boy live a dream. Now sign me up to be a day-long contract so I can retire my jersey in Tennessee where it belongs one day. Love y'all. Tighten up, from Jelly Roll. So that's on his Instagram page. And I saw somebody texted that to me today, and it really, it's all just kind of, it's all super touching, right? It's all super touching because that resonates in a different way than I ever could with you guys, or where, you know, people who have come into the city, and I identify with the second part of what he's saying, that people come to Nashville to try and make it for themselves. And you can sometimes forget, if you're not from here, the people who built this city into what it is so that people could come here with an opportunity to live out whatever dream they might have. So whether it's football, broadcasting, music, or otherwise, I'll be honest with you guys. You guys know I'm a little bit cynical and a little bit sarcastic and a little bit skeptical. And I don't know that I've ever been inspired by another human being in my life, but I will tell you that Jelly Roll is an inspiration to me, absolutely. And I have the utmost respect for that man. And to see the work that he's doing for those who are easily forgotten about, it's really touching to see. And also, you're Titans fans, and so is he. So you got to love him just for that. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight here on the Primetime program. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us as always. Have a great weekend. Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff is what I'll be doing Sunday from New Orleans. We have one more radio show tomorrow from 10 to 101.045 The Zone. We're going to review the McNair documentary on the air, Lucas, Jackson, and me. Coach Dave McGinnis is also going to be a part of the conversation at 11:20. So Mac, having intimate knowledge of this organization and of McNair, and knowing Jeff Fisher well, who was all over that video, all over that documentary, and of course Brad Hopkins, who I work with not every day, but damn near every day. So we'll look forward to that, doing that with you from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. Have a great rest of your evening. Tell Bert thank you on the way out the door for being delirious, slap happy, and keeping you entertained. And I will see you guys Sunday night from New Orleans, as a matter of fact.
Go home! Go home! Go home! You're embarrassing Nashville! Go home!